everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Move Austin. I'm Chris Angel, your co-host, here with your host,
Teresa Bastian, with you. Hi, Chris. Hi, everybody.
Hello, Teresa. How's the weather in Austin?
It is very, very warm. We're in our series of 1,100-degree days, which I love. Don't get me wrong, but I think more than half the population is holed up with their AC right now.
I know, right? How about them Longhorns? Hey, we'll skip past the small talk here. I want to dive straight into our topic of foreclosures today.
Yeah, let's do it. And I'm glad that you brought this topic up because I think foreclosures, especially for anyone that's been paying attention to the real estate market for the last decade or so, you know, when the mortgage meltdown happened and it was in the news a lot, it still can be a buzzword for so many people. You know, they associate a good deal in real estate with a foreclosure. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Well, I'm going to blow your mind because in Austin, and that may be the case in other parts of the country, but real estate, we always say real estate's local. We got to look local. Here in Austin, Chris, because you're not here, so let me blow your mind.
Blow my mind.
How many foreclosures do you think are on the market right now in Austin? It's a big market.
In all of Austin? I know, hundreds. There must be hundreds.
We have thousands of homes on the market.
Of course.
How many are foreclosures?
There must be at least 100.
Lower.
50. 20.
Even lower. Chris, there's only 5.
Wait.
Only 5.
There's only 5. This is crazy because, you know, you and I both went from 2007 down to 2011 watching that market go where foreclosures were like half the market. I mean, it's crazy.
You had to carry toilet paper and a flashlight in your car because the homes you would go see didn't have anything.
Right. Yes. Okay, 5 total foreclosures in Austin.
Foreclosures.
Wow.
And so they range in price from $185, which is a screaming deal, probably needs to be torn down, but okay, $185, all the way up to $1.1 million.
And there's only 5.
There's only 5. So pretty big cross range.
Right.
So when people come to me and say, hey, you know, I'd like to pick up an investment property, keep an eye out for me if you see any good foreclosures. I think they mean something different than what is actually available in Austin.
Yeah.
Because the inventory we have, just because it's a foreclosure, well, A, there's hardly any of them. B, usually 1.1 million is not where you want to be picking up investment properties.
Right.
It makes there's no correlation. So this idea that foreclosure equals good deal needs to be tamped down.
And that's the issue, right? Like when people say that, what they really mean is, hey, if you see any good deals, let me know.
Right. And we can get into investment opportunities in another episode because I want to stick with foreclosures. I want to kind of beat this drum and make sure people understand if they're looking for a foreclosure, you know, I really want to know what it is you're looking for because in actuality, these foreclosures of the 5 that are active right now, only one of them has ever been on the market before, like before it went back to the bank, like some of it been on the market years ago. Do you know what the bank did with that one? It raised the price when it put it back on the market.
Wow.
So the house was already on the market at one price. It got foreclosed on and the bank put it back on the market and raised the price. So if you're an investor or someone only looking at foreclosures, you could have brought the same house 2 weeks ago at one price. But if you're waiting for it to be foreclosed on, you just paid more.
Do you think that's typically an investor that's asking you about foreclosures or is it somebody just wanting a deal?
In my experience, it's usually people that are investors and they associate a value or getting able to get in with some equity. You know, they don't care if it's kind of beat down or it looks grungy, that kind of feel.
Do you think those investors are beginning investors? Because I would think savvy investors would understand the difference between like a foreclosure or a good deal.
I think they're either people that are not savvy or they haven't been active in a while. Because again, back in 2007, 2008,
that's
foreclosure, it was kind of correlated.
Right.
But you have to be in the market of the moment. You have to be in the market of the city you live in. You know, we have a lot of people in Austin that move from other cities. So they might be moving from Detroit or, you know, I don't really know where in the country foreclosures are still valuable, but I'm sure there are places. So they might be coming here with their, you know, hometown investment strategy.
Got it.
But we have to do what works in Austin.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so another thing I could see happening is a bunch of people hanging out on Zillow, looking around, and what they see is the, this many homes are in pre foreclosure. Like I saw hundreds, Teresa, hundreds. What do you mean there's only 5? I saw hundreds. According to Zillow.
There might be thousands. I don't know. So
according to Zillow.
From the Zillow standpoint, I do get people who are not investors, people that are desperately looking for a home they can afford for their family in a certain neighborhood. They will call me and ask about the Zillow pre-foreclosures. And I've done the legwork on it enough times to actually know the answer to what a Zillow pre-foreclosure is.
Yeah.
Okay. Zillow gets all its data from either from public record or from people going in and inputting it. The pre-foreclosure data is from public records. Okay. So Chris, have you ever missed a payment on a, credit card bill or a car, maybe your mortgage?
Yep. Sure.
Did it mean you were losing your house?
No.
Okay. I mean, sometimes you miss a payment because you moved and the mail got shuffled, or you were on vacation, or the online thing you had set up expired.
Yep.
So when you miss a payment, it's reported to the credit bureaus, right?
Yep.
Guess who buys that credit bureau information and uploads it as pre-foreclosure?
Wow.
Yeah. So in Zillow's world,
if
you even missed one payment, you're now considered pre-foreclosure. Many of those people, because I've knocked on doors for clients before, I swear, I have been like, maybe there's a chance. The people are not happy to be approached. They do not consider themselves in pre-foreclosure. Usually by the time it's reported and sold to Zillow and uploaded, they've already caught up on their payments.
Right.
And short answer, that's not a good way to find a house.
Yeah. That seems like almost like some sort of a misuse of information on the part of Zillow, like to classify somebody as pre-foreclosure when, I don't know, it just seems irresponsible, but.
Don't get me started on Zillow. We can have 100 episodes and it's kind of counterproductive. It just goes back to my advice to anyone interested in real estate is Zillow is not a reliable source. Yeah. This is just one more reason. So let's just leave it at that.
Okay, good.
But just because it's pre-foreclosure on Zillow doesn't mean there's going to be a sign in the yard next week.
Right. All right, good. All right. So that brings us back to there's 5 in all of Austin.
Oh. Can I add one more detail? Yeah. Just in case someone's thinking I'm playing with the numbers and I just caught the day when there happened to be not very many. There are only 40 that sold in the last 12 months in Austin.
Whoa. Wow.
So it's not just today, there is a small amount.
Right.
Okay. Just
good. You covered your bases there. I think you're good now.
That's right.
You let them know. See, Teresa knows her numbers. That's what I like about you.
I try.
Are there other, what else do you, what other questions do you get about foreclosures? What else do you want people to know about foreclosures?
Well, I think that one of the most important things to know, let's say there is a foreclosure that really works for you and it makes sense. You don't get any information about that property's condition prior to the day you see it.
Right.
The bank does not have to do a seller's disclosure legally in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
So if there was a roof damage or a fire or all of the copper piping has been taken out and then the wall was drywalled again, you don't really have a knowledge of that.
Yeah.
And if it does turn out to have a significant flaw down the line, there is no seller to sue for hiding that damage. You are truly buying as is.
Yeah.
Now you can have a home inspection, and I do encourage people to have a home inspection for their protection, so you know what you're walking into as much as possible. But the chance of the bank doing a lot of repairs, it's slim. Right. Sometimes you can get a little bit, but not much.
Yeah.
The other thing is, oftentimes the bank has turned off the utilities or some utilities. Maybe they leave the power on to prevent the property from being damaged by extreme weather conditions, but they've turned the water and the gas off. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get those utilities turned on in order to do a proper inspection. Mm-hmm. So let's say it has gas for the, stove and the hot water heater. Mm-hmm. You inspect the property, but the gas isn't on, so you can't check to see if those appliances work. Right. You buy the property, you turn the utilities on, find out they don't work. You have no recourse. You bought as is.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. Like, I've been talking to other people lately about foreclosures in these hot markets. And it just sounds more and more like, why in the world would I buy a foreclosure? It sounds ridiculous. It's kind of
a needle in a haystack. And then it's a needle that has a lot of trouble with it, in my opinion.
Yeah. It sounds like a terrible way to buy a house these days.
Now, in a different market, totally different. I've sold, as you know, I mean, we both sold plenty of foreclosed properties.
Right.
But in Austin now, the liability just doesn't make sense. My 2 cents.
I think one of the things I like about this is that, if you're going to be a savvy buyer, whether it's an investor or it's your own home, however you're buying the next property, you've got to get above the lingo of what everybody's throwing around, like, oh, let's buy foreclosures. And you got to start to get to the place of how to think about buying a property, which is, like you said, it's local. There are market conditions that are affecting price, supply and demand. Like there's all these things. And if you don't have a grasp on that, you need to talk to somebody who can walk you through that.
Well, and the first thing I often ask people is, what's your goal with this investment property? Or even if it's your purchase, how many years do you expect to spend in the house?
Right.
Because those things can really vary on what type of property or condition of property, all those things matter. So it's important to talk to someone local. I know there's a lot of real estate, first like investor books and infomercials and even seminars I've seen. Yeah. But just remember what works in one part of the country. I'm not saying none of this stuff works. It works somewhere or these guys wouldn't be, still around.
Right.
But you got to find something that works for the market you're in, or else live in Austin and invest somewhere else if you want to use that exact strategy. That's also a possibility.
Right. I just think the internet, it's what, 20 some years. Like I think now it's not just about, can you go find information about properties? I think people are coming back to like, I want advice. I want perspective from a human being and not just like, what did Zillow tell me? I think we're starting to get wise to all the misinformation and all the information period out there.
Information overload or in not specific information. But I remember when I started, I mean, I do like the fact that there's a lot of information out there for clients, for potential buyers, because it used to feel like, as realtors, we were hiding information. Yeah. I want to interpret the information for my clients. I like to work with people who can absorb a lot of data. And if I tell them, well, here's the nuance here or there, they understand that.
Yeah.
So I like people that like data, but, appreciate a professional interpretation.
Yeah. I think that's the point. Like people start getting smarter about how they get wise to all the information / misinformation, and they're able to consume the information to create a baseline of a context for something, but then they can seek out professional perspective of like, hey, what do you see? And now there's a partnership created.
That's all day long. I love working with people in that mindset. Yeah.
Right. Totally. Yeah. I love it.
But they're probably not going to get to buy a foreclosure.
Right. And if they have the high-mindedness about it, they would understand why that's the case. It's good. Any other things about foreclosures you want people to know?
No. If you have anything else you want to know, you can ask me. My contact information will be at the bottom of the screen, or you can just send me a quick text or email.
Okay. Good. Awesome. Teresa, thanks for a great episode on foreclosures. Can't wait till we do the next one, the juicy topic of short sales. But
yes, we have a 1-2 punch today.
1-2 punch. Yeah. So until then, I'll catch you next time. Thanks.
Okay. Bye, Chris. Bye, everybody.